Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the likety like button on the way in. My apologies if I sound a little stuffy or sick because your girl is. So, yeah, just bear with me. And this is my review on the Braxtons season 2, episode 2, Trouble in Paradise. What's up, D? Hope all is well. Let me tell y'all something. Editing is a magic trick, okay? Editing is a magic trick. When I tell you editing will make you hate the victim, the innocent, and love the villain. Let me find out that it is possible that after all these years of Tamar's banters and Tamar's dramatic moments, that we are in fact finally seeing the real Tamar after all of these years. Y'all need to let me know, because so far Tamar is looking a little innocent. All right? So we're going to get into this episode. So, of course, they're always starting off with the dramatics at the table, the gangster table, okay? And Tamar asks Tawanda, how the wedding planning is going. And she says, oh, it's, just getting everything ready and, getting the guys' outfits and everything. And Tamar's like, well, isn't that the maid of honor's job? Isn't that what the maid of honor is supposed to do? All of those things? Isn't that customary? And Tawanda said, yeah, it is customary. And so Tamar was like, well, I was relieved of my duties. And so Tawanda said, who told you was relieved of your duties? She was like, I was disinvited after I got my ticket to Tulum because y'all didn't want me there. And so at that point, Tawanda was like, no, that's a negative. We heard that you didn't want to film with us. She said, well, I didn't want to film with y'all because y'all try to ruin my business. Boom, boom, dramatics. And then, of course, we get to the actual episode. So back to the podcast. And honestly, we see that Tamar is kind of talking to Ashley. And that's great. But we really didn't get nothing. I don't know about y'all, but there was nothing that was given. So that is telling me one or two things. This was strictly for the show, or that cease and desist really did some damage. And Tamar not only did not post this podcast, but also it was taken off the show. Because I haven't seen this podcast with Ashley. Have you? I haven't seen it. And they definitely didn't really talk about anything on the show. You just see Ashley saying that, at a certain point, when it comes to healing, it's not about you. It's about healing others as well, and how you don't know when your last day is. So you have to kind of just make a difference and make an impact. And so, yeah. And then after that, Tamar apologizes to her for not being there for her because she had to heal herself. And then, baby, after that, it was done. It was done. And Tamar was doing the I love yous, and saying that, she just wants to help her, but she realizes that she has to heal herself. But we didn't get nothing. We got nothing. So I'm thinking that lawyer, whoever it is, Tamar didn't either want the drama or something, because we did not get anything. We did not get the business about what was happening with this actual drama with the family, who did what. We got nothing, just nothing. So with that being said, Trina goes out with some of Tawanda's maid of honors or whatever, child, and they're getting some robes made. And honestly, this was a cringy scene. To me, it was a pointless scene. It was like, ad lib in front of the camera, just trying to create something just for us to find out that Tony and Tamar are not coming to the bridal trip. And so with that, next thing we know, child, let me tell you how production is just extra dramatic this season. They do this dramatic effect. Tawanda was dropping off Sean. Tawanda was exiting the airport on foot. Next thing you know, they did a dang on car crash sound, child. And pretty much we found out that Tawanda got hit by a car. Thank God she's alive. But her teeth flew out. Everything went everywhere. Okay. So at that point, you see production rushing to her aid, asking her what happened. And she said she was walking. And she said, I guess the lady didn't see me and the lady hit her. I wonder if that lady has some money. Because if that's the case, Tawanda does have a case. But anyways, moving on. So at that point, she said, Sean saw her, so I guess he didn't go in and he hadn't checked in yet. He saw her get hit, or maybe I think she said she called her, or I don't know what happened. But all I know is she wanted to make a point that she said Sean cried and laid next to her until the ambulance come, and she crying and she said she's never experienced love like that before. Braxton's sisters, keep telling us how dysfunctional your family was. Just continue to tell us. Because what do you mean you never experienced love like that before? You didn't feel that type of unconditional love from your parents, not at least one of them. Continue to show us how dysfunctional your family was. You are telling us without telling us. But I will say, Sean is cute. Sean is cute. That dang on T-move fade he got on his head is problematic. But Sean is cute. I cannot believe this is a thing at this point where there are actually men out here, straight men, who literally want to wear these T-boo wigs and get them faded up, and they think that is a thing. Like, seriously, I am sure he is just as cute with his bald head, but this is becoming too much. This is becoming too much. Weren't these the same men who were saying they didn't want their women in weaves and wigs, and now they're wearing them? Make it make sense for me. Just make it make sense. But with that being said, he said, look, could have been worse, and it absolutely could have been worse. So I'm glad that she is okay. But with that, next thing I know, I'm thinking you're gonna see family rushing in. We didn't see no family come to see her. Now, maybe they did, but I know Mama E is in Atlanta. So I'm like, where was everyone when this happened? She had 2 fractures on her wrist, which honestly, when you literally got all of this drama that went on in this episode, child, is it maybe a sign that you shouldn't get married right now? I mean, you got hit by a car and you got a broken wrist and you still try to go down the aisle, but okay, for your first, very, very first wedding. So at that point, they're wrapping it up. Tony calls her. Tony don't even know what freaking country or island she going to. Talking about something. You don't want to go to the Bahamas like this. Tawanda, like, who going to the Bahamas? I'm going to Mexico. She's like, still out of the country. Tony don't be caring. Tony be in her own world, child. She just don't be care at all whatsoever. But Tawanda, like, I'm going through hell or high water. I am going to Tulum. And honestly, I don't blame her. But with that being said, Tamar, child, her BFF / employee, I guess was supposed to go to Tulum with her. And he said, I can't go, but go have fun with your sisters. And she was like, I can't go without you. You're my emotional support. So I'm trying to figure out when this scene was. Was this scene before or after what we find out later? Because to me, if you already was saying you can't go because he's the emotional support, that's telling me that you really didn't want to go and you were already hesitant, in my opinion. It seems like that to me. But at that point, when she realizes that he can't go, she was like, it's too close to my birthday. So she pretty much saying she can't go. You guys hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me. You know the ghetto-ness of StreamYard. Can you hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, please. And the last thing you heard me say so I can do my recap right because of ghetto StreamYard. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know, crew, and I'll get back to it. Let me know. I got 9 people in the chat, so let me know if you can hear me. But yeah, so with that being said, I personally feel like Tamar was already hesitant. So when he couldn't go, she was just like, well, it's close to my birthday, so I'm not trying to do it. So with that being said, Tamar said, first of all, let me make this very clear. I only hear from Tawanda when we're filming. That's it. And then we see a flashback of the last season when she said, "When was the last time I heard from you?" And then she said, and then all of a sudden, filming comes around. I get a box. Thank you, Rose. I appreciate you, boo. She says, then all of a sudden, filming comes around. I get a box saying that, she wants me to be her maid of honor. And she was like, and I thought that was really sweet. I even sent her a video actually saying, thank you so much. I accept it. And I'm going to be your best maid of honor. Mwah, blah, 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 blah. Love you. See you soon. She said she sent the video. Never heard back from Tawanda. And then all of a sudden, she gets an invitation to Tulum. Baby, Tawanda is moving like a true dark-sided September Virgo. And yeah, I'm going to go there. That is that Virgo venom. Virgo venom. All looks for the public. All the perfection looks for the public. But then you really see how they think and how they are behind the scenes. And we caught a glimpse of that with Tawanda this episode, honey. So literally, Tamar was like, look, I'm only going because of the emotional support. But if he ain't going to be there, I'm not going to go. And interesting enough, wasn't this not the first time that Tamar had a sister that had a wedding close to her birthday? What's up with them having special events around her birthday? Now, I understand that sometimes you got to do it when you have to do it, but what is up with that? They always having stuff going on in March for whatever reason. I believe that's Tamar's birthday. I think she is a water sign for sure, a Pisces. So yeah, what is up with that? But then, in true Tamar fashion, Tamar flips out about the background of her dang on photo shoot, about it being a bar, and how the crowd that she has is not the martini, you know what I'm saying, cute and mature and sexy crowd. She is more of a malt liquor 40s, you know what I'm saying, some Henny. She's one of those type of crowds, honey, okay? So like literally I was like, okay, personally, I don't know if Tamar knows her own audience. Y'all let me know if y'all been to a Tamar show, because from what I've seen, Tamar has more people around her age in her audience than younger, because she says she's TNA. She's all TNA at her shows. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm seeing that. I think you kind of have a martini crowd, okay? Or maybe you're just saying they're mature like you, but they're a little bit more on the hood side. I don't know. But she was tripping out over the fact that it's martini. She felt like martini is Unbreak My Heart, Tony Braxton. It's not giving a Tamar crowd. But the main thing is she's upset because her team dropped the ball. The team had the creative, they had the visuals of what they were going for the photo shoot, but she did not see them. And so that was the big thing. And she was like, I'm not trying to be a diva. It has nothing to do with y'all at the photo shoot, but I'm kind of getting at my team. So at this point, she was like, well, let's do this. Can we at least get a beer? Can we at least get a beer or something? And I could do a beer and drink it with the beer. And I was like, child, then get a 40. Like at that point, get some more liquor, like I guess. But I guess she felt comfortable having a beer versus having a martini, honey. But as long as she comfortable and ghetto, I guess that's all that matters. But with that being said, in freaking Tulum, honey, Tawanda had like 30 guests. 30. If I can be honest, I don't think Tawanda has 30 friends. I don't even think she has 30 people that she genuinely know. I think most of them people were extras. I think most of them people were there for the free trip. And that's it. That's all. I would say she maybe only knew about 5 people in that room that she like really, really knew. And you could tell just by a lot of their faces, they looked bored. They looked like they didn't even really know her. Okay. So yeah, so nice try, but I just don't think most of them people knew Tawanda. And if she does know them, she only wanted them there so she can floss as far as this trip that she did not pay for. So with that, they all get there to Tulum. And of course, in true dark Virgo fashion, she gets there and she says that she needs to rest. And her friend comes in there and she's like, well, what's wrong? And she said, my like I have like my God sisters, like the sisters that God gave me, but She did say that she missed Tracy. Hell, we all miss Tracy. I miss Tracy too, because Tracy was the life of the party. But she's like, I'm always there for everyone. And none of my sisters showed up for me. Never mind that Trina is right there. Trina is literally there, okay? There is one sister there with her, all right? But she said that, of course, Tony called her, but she found out from everybody else, including her mama, that Tamar said she's not even coming to the wedding because it's too close to her birthday. And Tawanda, like a true stank Virgo, is like literally just focusing on what's not going on versus what is going on. You have a sister that is there, all right? One of your sisters who is still working, dare I say, she may still have to work to pay her bills, already told you that she was working. Clearly, you and Tamar have issues, but Tamar has, not Tamar, Tawanda has always given me the vibes that she does what she does so she can get the accolades. She does what she does so she can get the credit. It's not coming from a genuine place. It's coming from a narcissistic place, okay? Because at the end of the day, if you're doing it genuinely out of love, you would totally get Tony can't make it. You know what I'm saying? And you would totally get if you and Tamar were on good terms, y'all would be talking when the cameras are not rolling. So to me, this was all about her situation. But her friend says, look, I have known you for years. You need to start being honest about how you feel because you've always been there for your sisters. Your sisters always feel like you have it. So maybe you need to be honest and just be open about the situation. But to be quite honest, considering the fact that she does not pick up her phone, let Tamar tell it. She does not pick up her phone unless they are in production. All of this is a storyline. It's coming off like it's a storyline that she purposely made Tamar the maid of honor just for storyline purposes, knowing that Tamar would probably do it for a genuine reason. Tawanda's doing it for show, and Tamar is tired of the BS, and she's tired of playing them games. If it's not genuine, I don't want nothing to do with it. That's the way it's cut off to me, and that's the way that Tamar implied it later on, because Tamar said, which by the way, her hair was absolutely gorgeous in this with the bang, the swoop bang, fly. But anywho, she says when OG, who seems to be very messy, a very messy producer like Carlos King messy, he's like, well, it seemed like you necessarily didn't want to go or you didn't feel comfortable going to the actual trip. She said, Tamar bought her ticket. Tamar was going to Tulum. You sat up there and told me that you didn't think that I would be welcome. And then we finally see Tawanda behind the scenes. And yeah, that nasty Virgo came out. That Virgo that they don't want the public to see, that judgmental, criticizing, ish talking. Yeah, she all of a sudden turned into gangsta boo. And so OG was like, well, Tony's not coming. Oh, F her, F it. I'm like, wait, you dropping a lot of F bombs. Like, I don't give a F. I don't give a F. And so OG was like, well, Tay was coming. She wasn't coming for that. And she would have effed it up anyway. She would have messed it up anyways. Oh, Tawanda, is that really you, boo? The real you coming out when you think the camera's not rolling? Oh, yeah, the real her is coming out. The real her is coming out. So yeah, so definitely Tamar calling production out. She calling her sisters out. She's over it, which is why I said editing is one hell of a drug, because especially those first couple of seasons, they definitely wanted to make sure that Tony was untouchable. She is the money. She is the name of that family. They wanted her to look purely innocent, but them tables seem like they flipping. So then Tawanda sits down with a couple of her friends, I guess the friends that are actually her genuine friends that are there. And Trina asks her how she feeling. And she wants to complain again about how her biological sisters are not there for her. Meanwhile, she talking directly to Trina. Trina's there and you still complaining. She didn't even say my other biological sisters are not here, but Trina, I appreciate you being here. No. It's just all about always complaining, always nagging, always like y'all need a freaking therapist. Like it's just ridiculous. And even though Trina says I do feel bad for her, I would have looked at her like, well, ma'am, I'm here. So let's party. And that's what Trina did. We're gonna take some shots and we're gonna keep it moving. But Trina does say that their major problem is in the family is communication. That's a lot of families' problems. But it seems to me y'all communication don't start unless the cameras are rolling, which tells me what is this really about? Is this really about healing or is this really about continuing to make y'all money? What is it about? You know what I'm saying? So y'all let me know. So with that being said, child, Tamar also, and Tamar talks to her team about dropping the ball. That was a boring scene, but she was pretty much saying we're all in this together. This is a good opportunity for all of us. No dropping the ball when it comes to all of this stuff. So they end up going zip lining, which I thought was cute. Tawanda's daughter, Brooke, she looked like she was about to hyperventilate and just pass out and go to the upper room right there on the freaking zip lining. I'm confused as to why Tawanda couldn't go zip lining. No, I feel like she still could have. I mean, you don't have to use hands. Like, you don't have to use the hands. Trina showed that you did not have to use hands to do it. But I guess, she felt like she didn't want to do it. But with that being said, the bridal party, sorry, it seemed a little corny and boring. Even the men in the room seemed like they were uncomfortable and looked bored. The only thing interesting that we found out from the freaking bridal party, bridal vacation, is that Tawanda claimed she dated Bobby Brown. Did y'all hear that? Tawanda said she dated Bobby Brown. Ma'am, when was this? It better been before Whitney or after Whitney and not during Whitney, because allegedly Bobby Brown was cheating on Whitney. You better not have been during Whitney. People gonna start doing calculations. They gonna start doing calculations. When did you actually date Bobby Brown? And something tells me you was dating Bobby Brown when he was living in Atlanta. And last time I checked, he was only living in Atlanta when he was dealing with Whitney. Tawanda, you maybe have talked too much. But she said loudly and boldly she actually dated Bobby Brown. Quite interesting. But we find out also that she had a crush on Hill Harper. Who cares? But, and that's another thing too. I guess I could talk about this really quick. I know y'all don't care because I sure as hell don't. Mama E is writing a book. Anyone excited? I'm not reading it. Child, Mama E to me don't tell the real deal about who she is either. I'm not reading that polished book where she wants to seem like her life was perfect. And interesting enough, Mama E was on Tamar's podcast, and Tamar asked her mama, do you feel like you're still bitter, or you feel like you bitter? And she said, absolutely not. And Tamar had to laugh, and I almost choked too. Ma'am, let's not forget, the first couple of seasons on this show, you were still cussing and fussing your ex-husband out after you not being with him for a good 20 years. Now, what he allegedly did was effed up. But, ma'am, for you to be so holy and so Christian, and you were still cussing and fussing at that table, just the presence of that man being there in front of you seems bitter to me. Maybe you have worked through it now, but the fact that Tamar is still laughing, I would say not. Now, moving on. With that being said, we have the actual bridal shower. That's horrible. And then next thing you know, they're looking for Trina because they asked where was Tawanda's first date with her soon-to-be husband. And so I guess Trina would be the only one who would know that answer. And it's like, where's Trina? Where's Trina? Lo and behold, Trina's in the bedroom. She finds out her husband, who said he was at urgent care. I don't know if he went from urgent care to the hospital or he was at urgent care before they transported him to the hospital. But he tells her that he's in urgent care and he has heart failure. And she freaks out and she's like, I'm coming home. And he's like, why? And she said, what would you do if it was me? Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way in. She was like, what would you do if it was me? So she was like, look, I understand this is my sister's bridal party or whatever. This is her vacation time, but I'm getting on the next flight out of here to go check on my husband. And guess what? Any sane person would. Any sane person would. She tells production, my husband got congestive heart failure potentially. Don't tell Tawanda. That is very interesting. That's one of the things you want to say is don't tell Tawanda. You know why? Because I think she knows that Tawanda will probably make her feel bad and make it all about her. See, Tawanda, yeah, it's that Virgo venom coming out of her. Y'all, if y'all know a dark side of Virgo, stay away. Stay away. They always want to play victim. They always want to play innocent, but they are diabolical behind the scenes. And that is what Tawanda is giving. When she think them cameras ain't rolling, baby, oh, please believe me, that side came out of her. And I said, ooh, that Virgo is kicking in like no other. And I think Tamar is like, I'm over it. I'm calling everybody out. Tamar is looking like she definitely has been played this whole entire time. Even though she was still gaining, like fans and stuff, I think it really bothered her that they always made it seem like she was the crazy one. Let me see what you guys are saying. I can understand that Tawanda can be passive aggressive and seems to get a kick out of humiliating people. Tawanda is exhausting. Yes, Tawanda is worse than Tamar. I'm so glad Tamar called her out and the producer. You better say that again. I feel like she tried to set Tamar up to look bad. It seems that way. Because I think she knew that Tamar would say no, especially if it wasn't coming from a genuine place. And around her birthday. Which, if this has happened before where someone planned something around her birthday and she feel like this is not a genuine situation, a lot of people will say, F it, I'm not going. I don't know. Must be the money. That's what I'm talking about, my two sons. I don't know. Tawanda seems to be a lot. I bet Vaughn ain't afraid of her. You said Vaughn, her Trina's husband. I'm sure she does seem like a lot. She seems very draining. He kind of called her out last season with her calling their nephew Scratchy. Oh, I didn't watch last season. I just know from the Braxton family value seasons, it seems very polished where they always wanted Tamar to look like the wild child. I always wanted her to look like the wild child who was the baby of the family, who was just super emotional, overreacting, and just, oh, Tamar is being Tamar while everybody else just can get along and they just don't understand why Tamar is acting this way. Meanwhile, now we done found out about Tamar SA allegations. We done found out that some of these fools in the background have been scheming, conniving, plotting, and planning. We have found out a lot. Wow. It's like this just didn't happen after Tracy passed. It just didn't happen after Tracy passed. Now, I'm curious to know why at times Tracy and Tamar got into it, which makes me wonder. And I'm wondering if that was probably the sister that may have supported her more than she realizes. And now she misses that Tracy because Tracy is no longer here. You know what I mean? See, a lot of times they will try to make righteous people look like the crazy ones. I mean, we see that all the time, right? They will make people who are righteous, who literally have big hearts, who want to do right by people, they will make them look over the top and crazy. Meanwhile, one thing about Tawanda, she always tries to control her emotions, tries to keep it cool. And you think someone with a calm nature means that they're calm and collective. That doesn't mean that they're right, though. That doesn't mean that they're right. They're just more calculated and they're more controlling of their emotions. Doesn't mean that they're innocent, though. So I'm thinking we're starting to see the real deal, or we're starting to see a balance of what's going on in this family. And I'm here for it. I am here for it. Do you hear me? Because at a certain point, I couldn't stand Tamar. And yeah, Tamar is over the top, but a lot of times people get to that point because they can't get a response any other way. When they act like that, is because they can't get it. And I think even Ayanna says something like that. Someone who reacts like that feels like they haven't been heard or seen. I think even Ayana said something like that. And guess what? We found out she has dealt with some serious stuff and her family turned their backs on her. And that's why Tamar has acted the way that she's acted. I think it was season 3 where Tawanda invited all the sisters over to her house to talk about Kevin Sr. potential side baby, and Tracy got mad at Tamar for that. But that was Tawanda. Yeah, because they feel like the loudest one in the room, they could easily attack her because everybody has attacked Tamar. When the reality is sometimes the quietest one in the room is the most calculated, sneaky mofo out there. Because if you notice, Tawanda is the more subtle one, and Tony. But like I told y'all, I think Tony acts more like Mama Evelyn than Tamar. See, I think those women know how to control their emotions because they're a little bit more calculated and diabolical, which is why them cease and desist and things like that came out. Because it's like, if you peel one onion off of our family, then you're going to start digging into all of us. That's what they don't want. That's what they don't want. They want a controlled look. That's what they don't want. And I'm sure for a very long time, Tamar and others wanted to say something, but they also had to keep it under wraps because you got to protect Tony. She is the family name. She's the reason why we are where we are. When Tony was probably doing a lot of stuff and they couldn't say anything because she's Tony Braxton. You know what I mean? I have gotten so used to Tamar answers over the years that now I can look past her and look at the other sisters. You got a point, Rose. Because like I said, if you hear me from the beginning, I said editing is a magic trick. Because they will really have the innocent and the victim looking crazy while the villains are looking like, you know what I'm saying, you're rooting for the villain. You don't even realize you're rooting for the villain. And I used to feel bad for Tawanda. Like, I used to feel bad for her because she used to always make it seem like no one cares about how she feels. Like, Tawanda is the type of person where she, in my opinion, she wants to play the victim. You don't probably give people opportunities to be there for you. And if they try to do something for you and be there for you, it's not good enough for you. So a lot of people just step back and say, you do it yourself. You know those type of people. You try to be there for them. You try to do stuff for them, but it's not good enough. And they feel like they could do it better anyway. So they just step here, do it yourself. And then they want to cry and say, well, no one's not there for me because of how you act. People try to be there for you, but you're always complaining. You know what I'm saying? You're, compulsive and everything else. You're always judging, always talking mess. So then people gonna back up. You do it yourself. You're happy when you do it yourself. So there you go. But then she want to cry saying people ain't there for her. I would have been offended if I was her sister. And my sisters ain't there for me. Heifer, I'm sitting right here. I'm sitting here. So what you mean your sisters ain't there? Like, girl, get over it. But then we see behind the scenes when the cameras are off, or you think the cameras were off, and that producer was so messy. He knew them cameras was on, baby. He knew them cameras was on. She was like, F that, F it. I don't care. F it, F her. I was like, ooh, Tawanda, this is really who you are, huh? You keep showing us the real you, just like Tony is going to show us the real her. Yeah, this is going to be quite interesting this season. I just hope, though, that the table seat is not the biggest blowout. I hope we have a good season and we're just not waiting for that part and then it's going to fall flat. I feel like she holds things over Trina's head. Who? Tawanda? Because Trina will probably allow it. I think at one point, Tamar used to allow them to throw stuff over her head too. And she said enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? Because when you have those type of deep-rooted issues that Tamar have, you really start to think that your family knows better than you, what you went through. So I'm sure they used to throw stuff over her head and she used to feel bad and apologize for things that she shouldn't even be apologizing for. And I'm sure Trina has probably done the same thing to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully Trina gets out of that too. I'm hoping she gets out of that. I really do, because I'm starting to think that we're seeing the real Braxtons and we're seeing why things unraveled the way that they did. And we're seeing that there were some deep-rooted issues probably before the fame even came. Way before the fame came. Probably before even that Daddy Braxton left that house. Like, let's just keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I know both of them married when they were really, really young. Things happen. But it honestly, I remember when Mama Evelyn used to be on those first couple of seasons, and the Braxton father, who didn't show up at one point, finally came on camera. The way she was going off, she seems a little unbearable to be with. I ain't gonna even hold you. I was like, it was good entertainment. I ain't gonna lie. But I was just like, dang, this woman, if she's acting like this, and this is 20 plus years later that this infidelity happened, and she's acting like this now after 20 years, I can imagine how she was in that household. I can imagine how she was when that first happened. I can't imagine it. And one thing that Tony said was, I've been with mommy and daddy the longest, and I'm just telling y'all, they don't like each other. So, there it is. And I'm sure it's hard to be in a household with two parents who don't even like each other. They don't even like each other. So, yeah. So, with that being said, you guys, that was my review. Decent episode. I feel like these episodes are just giving us little bits and pieces of things that are being exposed. And finally, the big boom is going to happen at the actual dinner table. But I want to know if hands are actually thrown between Tony and Tamar. I don't like to see sisters fight, but I want to know who y'all got. If the camera, they didn't like break it up or anything. I don't know if they broke it up, but I feel like Tamar will probably hold back because she don't want to hurt her sister, because her sister got lupus. But I feel like if Tamar truly wanted to get at Tony and put all of that anger and aggression out on Tony, she would whoop that behind. And I ain't saying the size, because size don't matter, but I think she would. But I think she ain't trying to hurt her sister, because we know her sister is sick. But with that being said, you guys, let's continue the conversation. What did you guys think about this episode? Do you think that Tamar is finally getting vindicated? Are we finally seeing what's really going on in the Braxton family? Do you think Tawanda is really the problem amongst others? I don't know who's the oldest after. Is Tony is the brother, and then who's the oldest sister after Tony? Is it Tawanda or was it Tracy? I'm curious, you guys. I want to know what you guys think about this episode, and how you saw Tawanda this episode, because I'm starting to think she is definitely the problem, and I wouldn't even put it past her to be in other people's ears in the family and trying to do a divide and conquer. I don't put it past her the way that she was moving this episode. But with that being said, you guys, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.